Pentagon announces new Qatari Air Force facility in Idaho. U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth announced Friday that the Pentagon will establish a new facility for the Qatari Emiri Air Force at Mountain Home Air Force Base in Idaho. The facility will host Qatari F-15 fighter jets and pilots to enhance combined training and interoperability between the two nations. Hegseth made the announcement during a Pentagon ceremony honoring Qatari Minister of Defense Saud bin Abdulrahman Al Thani. The agreement, formalized by a letter of acceptance, is expected to bring approximately 300 Qatari and U.S. personnel and a dozen F-15s to the base. Qatar will fund the construction of the facility, which will operate under U.S. jurisdiction and control, integrated within the existing base structure. This initiative addresses Qatar's limited airspace for pilot training and strengthens the strategic partnership, building on Qatar's role in a recent Gaza peace deal. Discussions for the project have been underway for several years, with an environmental assessment completed in 2022.
This makes no sense and is un-American.
So the first ever foreign Air Force base has been announced after Trump got his $400 million jet and a $5 billion beach resort golf course in Qatar? I thought no quid pro quo was involved, just a free jet. It seems none of those gifts were free.
Are you kidding me? Wow, people need to wake up.
This is insane. Qatar supports the Taliban. Have we lost our minds?
No immigrants allowed, but a foreign military presence on U.S. soil is okay? This is insane.
Is this how America is being made great again? This does not sound like America first.
This is absolutely preposterous. Open your eyes, everybody.
This is treason and a Trojan horse.
No foreign country should be allowed to build a military base.
Explosion at Tennessee plant leaves 18 presumed dead. Recovery underway. An explosion at an explosives facility in McEwen, Tennessee, on Friday, October 10, 2025, left about 18 people missing and feared dead, with several others likely injured, and recovery efforts now underway. The blast occurred early in the morning at the Accurate Energetic Systems plant. Officials say no survivors have yet been recovered. One building was leveled and debris was scattered over a wide radius. Multiple agencies, including the ATF, FBI, and state investigators, are leading the ongoing investigation, which is expected to take weeks or longer. The facility, which has supplied explosives for both military and commercial use, had a prior fatal explosion in 2014.
I live in Centerville, TN, which is 30 miles away, and it shook my entire house this morning. Praying for all of the families and loved ones involved. Get right with God, folks. You never know when your last day is.
Several are missing. Missing isn't the right term here.
How awful. I am sorry if you had a loved one inside this building.
Nothing left, like the building was never there. This is so tragic. Many families are in pain. Prayers to their families.
Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me.
Just horrible for families seeing their loved ones' vehicles burned, knowing they're gone.
The sheriff is such a sweet man. I'm very proud of my hometown for handling this with such grace. Absolutely devastating.
Trump threatens new tariffs on China, doubts Xi meeting. Former U.S. President Donald Trump threatened new tariffs on China and cast doubt on an expected meeting with President Xi Jinping at the upcoming APEC summit, following Beijing's recent actions imposing export controls on rare earth minerals and halting U.S. soybean purchases. The former president expressed frustration, saying China had repeatedly slapped him in the face. The potential 100% tariffs would target a broad range of Chinese imports, including consumer goods, as tensions between the world's two largest economies deepen ahead of the APEC leaders meeting. U.S. Trade Representative officials described China's new export restrictions as quite extreme, arguing they reflect an effort to secure domination over global technology supply chains. Beijing's measures, which require government approval for exports involving rare earth materials, have been viewed in Washington as economic coercion. China, which processes more than 90% of the world's rare earth elements, has increasingly used its monopoly position as leverage. The soybean ban, meanwhile, threatens to hurt American farmers, prompting the U.S. to pursue alternative agricultural markets in Vietnam, Cambodia, and other Asian nations. Analysts say the confrontation has sparked debate within China between hardliners advocating escalation and reformists warning of economic damage. The standoff now overshadows preparations for APEC and raises fears of a renewed trade war reminiscent of the 2018-2019 tariff conflict.
I've never understood why we rely so heavily on a non-allied country for so many of our critical products. It's like us having guns and relying on China to furnish us the bullets. Stupid.
China laughs and says, make it 1,000.
At least someone is covering this. Thank you.
I worked in construction for over 40 years and I don't know if anyone remembers all the contaminated toxic drywall China flooded the United States with an extremely cheap price that was making American people extremely sick.
Bill Clinton, you gave away American jobs and then NAFTA, oh my.
Actually, America doing business with China is the biggest screw-up in history.
China needs to have its most favored nation status removed. It should have been taken away decades ago.
The biggest mistake the U.S. ever made on trade was in 1972 when then-President Nixon opened the door on trade with China.
Forget about normalizing relations with the CCP.
U.S. brokered ceasefire between Israel, Hamas takes effect. A U.S. brokered ceasefire between Israel and Hamas took effect Saturday, with the release of Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners expected by Monday. President Donald Trump, who mediated the agreement, plans to travel to Israel and Egypt on Monday to discuss the future of Gaza. The described agreement, presented as the first phase of an initiative to end a two-year conflict, stipulates the release of approximately 20 living Israeli hostages and nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. Discussions during the proposed visit would focus on post-conflict stabilization, including the governance and reconstruction of the Gaza Strip and the disarmament of Hamas. U.S. officials reportedly visited Gaza to coordinate activities, and the U.S. military was prepared to establish a ceasefire monitoring base without deploying ground troops. Arab leaders reportedly expressed support for the peace efforts. However, this scenario does not align with current or recent historical events concerning U.S. brokered efforts between Israel and Hamas.
This is beyond fabulous.
Thank you, President Trump, and God bless you and your administration, and God bless Israel.
This peace agreement just proved it is easier to negotiate with Hamas than Democrats. Not tired of winning President Donald Trump, MAGA blessed are the peacemakers.
The devil can never, ever be trusted.
Greetings from Ireland. God bless the USA and Mr. Trump. Congrats on bringing peace to the Middle East. You deserve the Nobel Prize, sir. 6.
Greatest POTUS in my lifetime.
Venezuelan opposition leader dedicates Nobel Peace Prize to Trump. Venezuelan opposition leader María Corina Machado has won the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize, dedicating the award to former U.S. President Donald Trump for his decisive support and efforts in resolving conflicts. Machado stated she accepted the honor on Trump's behalf, citing his role in Venezuela and his work in resolving what she described as 8 wars. Trump confirmed Machado's call, asserting he deserved the prize for his own peacemaking efforts, including a recently brokered agreement between Israel and Hamas. The former president announced the Israel-Hamas peace deal on October 8, 2025, which includes a ceasefire and the release of hostages, following a meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Trump is also reportedly increasing pressure to end the Ukraine-Russia war, with U.S. Ambassador to NATO Matthew Whitaker confirming increased U.S. weapons sales to NATO allies for Ukraine and discussions of potential deep strike capabilities. Reports also indicate Russian embassy personnel and their families recently departed Caracas in October 2025, potentially in response to U.S. military actions against the Maduro regime.
She is one amazing woman. Thank you for honoring our President Trump as well. May God always bless you and keep you safe.
There's a reason silence is golden.
Wow, that's class. Congratulations to María Corina Machado.
I just want to say that Trump is so humble. He did not take credit for the Earth spinning around the sun, the return of seasons every year, and don't forget about gravity. Without Trump it would not exist. An absolute lunatic.
Gracious woman. Blessed are the humble, for they will inherit the earth.
Intellectual woman.
I love this woman. Keep fighting the good fight in Venezuela.
This lady obviously has a beautiful heart. What a beautiful gesture.
Peace is the award, not prize.
Katie Porter faces calls to withdraw from 2026 California governor race. Democratic California gubernatorial candidate Katie Porter faces increasing calls to withdraw from the 2026 race following a contentious October 2025 CBS News interview and the resurfacing of past behavioral incidents. The interview reportedly saw Porter threaten to end the discussion after multiple follow-up questions, drawing renewed attention to previous reports, including divorce filings indicating anger management classes and a 2021 video showing her yelling at a staffer. The 2021 video, which reportedly showed Porter yelling, "Get out of my F***ing shot," during a Zoom call, was initially edited out of official footage by the Department of Energy. Republican gubernatorial candidate Chad Bianco criticized Porter's behavior as entitlement and narcissism, questioning her leadership temperament. Porter has stated she aims to be more intentional in showing gratitude to my staff. Recent polling for the 2026 primary places Porter at 17% and Bianco at 10% among 6 candidates.
Voting for whoever is opposing that thing. Mel Gibson should be governor.
Katie Porter is another heartless, unethical, mean-spirited liberal? How's that even possible? People like her in powerful positions scare the crap out of me.
Unhinged people running for office is scary. Turn California red.
Californians must dodge this bullet if they want to survive. She's a freaking psychopath.
Yikes. Hard no on Katie Porter. As a Californian voter, I'll be voting red to save California from the destructive, corrupt, incompetent Democrat regime.
The Democrat Party can't really be called liberal anymore. It's flat-out socialist, communist and, yes, fascist. The biggest problem for the Democrat Socialist Party is the basic decency of the American people. The Republicans, on the other hand, should beware of complacency. Pour it on and don't stop pouring it on. This lady is typical of the blue-haired left.
She looks and sounds absolutely insane. How did she even get all the way to this point?
New York Attorney General James indicted on federal bank fraud charges. New York Attorney General Letitia James was indicted Thursday by a federal grand jury in the Eastern District of Virginia on 2 felony counts of bank fraud and making false statements to a financial institution. prosecutors allege that in 2020 she falsely listed a Norfolk property as her primary residence on a mortgage application to secure a lower interest rate, then rented it out, saving about $19,000. The indictment was announced by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of Virginia. In a recorded statement, James denied wrongdoing, calling the charges baseless and politically motivated. She described the case as a weaponization of our justice system. The Democrat previously led the civil fraud lawsuit against former President Donald Trump, who has publicly urged her prosecution. Governor Kathy Hochul and other Democratic leaders criticized the indictment as politically driven, while federal officials declined to comment on the timing of the case. James is scheduled to appear for arraignment in Norfolk on October 24. If convicted, she could face the loss of her law license and removal from office.
What a hypocrite. She can dish it out but can't take it.
Lock up the traitor Republicans who enabled this coup.
Such an evil person. She ran on getting Trump. Now she's blaming Trump for what she 100% did.
No matter how big, rich or powerful you think you are, no one is above the law. Letitia James.
Tonight I say this to my Republican colleagues defending the indefensible: there will come a time when Donald Trump is no longer around, but your dishonor will remain. Liz Cheney.
No matter how big, rich or powerful you think you are, no one is above the law. Letitia James. Calling Trump America's Hitler is the only accurate statement I've heard J.D. Vance make.
Accountability. Why do they not see it coming? All his minions need to be charged.
Now it's weaponization? Her entire campaign was run on getting Trump. Now that was weaponization. GTFO.
Federal layoffs begin amid government shutdown, border wall dispute. More than 4,000 federal employees across multiple agencies, including the Commerce and Education departments, received layoff notices Friday as the government shutdown entered its second week. The White House Budget Office confirmed the reductions, which officials say aim to pressure congressional Democrats to approve funding for a U.S.-Mexico border wall. Democrats, including Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, have criticized the firings as deliberate chaos and an intimidation tactic, with a federal employee union filing a lawsuit to block them. The shutdown stems from President Trump's demand for $5.7 billion for a border wall, a request largely opposed by Democrats. While government shutdowns typically involve furloughs for non-essential staff, these firings represent a more aggressive measure, facing legal challenges under the Anti-Deficiency Act. Lawmakers left Washington Friday without a resolution, and the Senate is expected to consider new legislation, likely a continuing resolution or appropriations bill, on Tuesday to fund the government. Beyond employee impacts, shutdowns disrupt public services like national park closures and delays in tax refunds.
Here's some much-needed context for you all. Most federal employees are not politicians, they're regular everyday people.
Maybe laying off senators would be good incentive to stop this from happening over and over.
Is America great yet?
They keep firing people, won't have much of a workforce to keep government running.
Why are they so happy about laying off American citizens?
Meanwhile, construction continues on the $200 million Gilded Ballroom.
Stop paying Congress until they come to an agreement.
Americans losing their job and Argentina getting $20 billion bailout. JFC.
Instead of a shutdown, which only affects average citizens, if you just freeze the bank accounts of every member of Congress and then every day following donate 1% of the frozen funds held to humanitarian efforts. I promise you, the shutdown wouldn't last a week. Eventually people will have to realize that the government works for them, not the other way around. Good thing we sent $20 billion to Argentina to save their government from shutting down.
Government shutdown continues. Senators depart Washington for weekend. A government shutdown persists, leading to ongoing flight delays and federal worker layoffs. As congressional leaders remain at an impasse in Washington, D.C., no immediate resolution is anticipated, with senators departing the Capitol for the long weekend, delaying potential action until at least Tuesday. The stalemate stems from a fundamental disagreement over federal spending and policy priorities. Republicans, including Senate Majority Leader John Thune, RSD, accused Democrats of playing political games by refusing to pass a clean, continuing resolution, which the House has already approved. Senator John Kennedy, RLA, echoed this, while Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, DNY, maintains Democrats are fighting for the American people. Democrats are pushing for the inclusion of Enhanced Affordable Care Act premium tax credits and a reversal of Medicaid cuts, while Republicans argue these should be debated separately. Federal employee unions are seeking court intervention to halt layoffs, which are also impacting services like the IRS and WIC.
The Democrats have not done anything for the American people. Take heed, they don't care.
Democrats just want that 1.5 trillion. Republicans don't do it. They had 4 years to figure out healthcare, less illegal immigrants.
I love Senator Kennedy. Schmuckmer for prison now.
Schumer's full of BS.
As nervous as a pregnant nun. Ya gotta love Kennedy.
God bless Senator Kennedy. Just love him. A bartender is calling the shots. Unbelievable.
Spending $1.5 trillion we do not have is not for the American people.
Speaker Johnson blames Schumer for shutdown, stalled military pay. House Speaker Mike Johnson on Thursday and Friday attributed the ongoing government shutdown and delayed military pay to Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, urging reporters to direct questions about negotiations to the Democratic leader. Johnson stated the House has passed measures to fund the government and ensure military and federal civilian workers receive pay, contending that Democrats are obstructing these efforts. His remarks followed an emotional plea from a military spouse on C-SPAN expressing concern for families with medically fragile children during the shutdown. Critics, however, argue that Democrats have proposed plans to pay military personnel, which Republicans are reportedly blocking. A government shutdown occurs when Congress fails to pass appropriations bills, leading to non-essential functions ceasing and potential pay delays for essential personnel like active duty military. While the House passed a short-term continuing resolution, the Senate has not agreed on a path forward. Some Republicans, including Representative Elise Stefanik, are reportedly seeking to advance legislation to ensure military payments.
It's simple. If he calls back Congress to vote to pay the troops, then he'll have to swear in the Arizona congresswoman. If he does that, then they'll vote to release the Epstein files. Bottom line, troops won't get paid because Johnson is protecting Trump from the files being released. Who cares if that woman suffers? As long as dear leader is protected.
The results are in. The Nobel Peace Prize went to the Venezuelan leader of the opposition. Fantastic news.
Why are all these people still getting checks while the government is shut down?
Unhappy military is usually not good news for wannabe dictators.
The military should always get paid regardless.
The rich get richer while the poor get poorer.
Force them into a room and tell them to do their jobs and lock the doors. All of them. When will he confirm the new representative?
Says the guy refusing to negotiate and sending his party on paid vacation.
The fact they're still getting paid is sickening.
Trade tensions rise as China halts U.S. soybeans, U.S. adds tariffs. China halted all U.S. soybean imports and expanded export controls on rare earth minerals, prompting the United States to announce new tariffs and export controls on October 10, 2025, further escalating trade tensions. The moves led to a significant drop in U.S. stock markets, with the Dow Jones falling 878 points and over $1.5 trillion in market value wiped out. Beijing's actions, including the halt of its largest agricultural import from the U.S. and restrictions on 5 additional rare earth minerals vital for high-tech manufacturing, are viewed as retaliatory. China's Ministry of Commerce stated its rare earth controls, announced October 9, aim to safeguard national security. In response, President Donald Trump announced an additional 100% duty on all Chinese goods and export controls on critical software, effective November 1. Trump called China's actions extraordinarily aggressive and indicated he might cancel an upcoming meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. The U.S. government has not yet defined critical software.
He thought he could slap tariffs and throw insults without consequence. He was wrong. China just handed him a brutal lesson in reciprocity. His complaints now are priceless. Keep it coming, China.
Why the American don't buy the soybean themselves? They can make soya milk and sell it in McDonald's instead of selling Coca-Cola.
Trump should remember, do not try and bully a country that can hit you harder.
BRICS is king.
The trade war started by Trump. China is just showing Trump that China is not someone you can bully. Can't get rid of the feeling that China does not need US, but US is very much dependent on China. My take is equals introducing tariffs was the dumbest idea ever.
Trump is crazy. Started tariffs wars and now complaining against China that retaliate.
China is sending extremely aggressive letters to other countries. Sorry, Uncle Donald, but nobody is buying your funny statements. 'Cause everybody knows China is just tightening its relations with those countries, as well as improving its fair trade.
China hasn't banned export of rare earth minerals to any country except those that use them to create weapons of mass destruction.
Taliban accuses Pakistan of bombing as India boosts Kabul mission. The Taliban government on Friday, October 10, 2025, accused Pakistan of violating Afghanistan's sovereignty by bombing a civilian area in Paktika province. The accusation emerged as Afghan Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi visited India, where New Delhi announced it would upgrade its mission in Kabul to a full embassy. The Taliban's Ministry of Defense stated that Pakistan had violated Afghan airspace and bombed the Marga area near the disputed Durand Line, one of the most serious cross-border accusations since the Taliban took power. Pakistan has not confirmed responsibility for the strikes but has repeatedly accused the Taliban government of harboring Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan (TTP) militants blamed for recent attacks on Pakistani forces. During his visit, Muttaqi met Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar to discuss shared concerns over cross-border terrorism and regional stability. India pledged new development projects and humanitarian assistance, including medical and infrastructure support, while reaffirming its commitment to Afghanistan's sovereignty. India had closed its embassy in Kabul after the Taliban's 2021 takeover, maintaining a technical team since June 2022. The upgrade to a full embassy signals deeper engagement without constituting formal recognition of the Taliban regime.
Always we support Afghanistan. Please focus women empowerment, education as we are in 2025.
They called Afghanistan Hind while speaking. That means a lot.
Afghanistan, India's good friend. Long live friendship.
When Afghan minister started his speech with, "In the name of the God merciful and graceful."
Good, very good, they are good peoples. Yes, we both Indian and Afghani are suffering from cross-border terrorism from Pakistan.
Machado wins 2025 Nobel Peace Prize for Democracy Efforts. Venezuelan opposition leader María Corina Machado received the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize on Friday, October 10, 2025, for her sustained efforts to promote democracy in her country. The Norwegian Nobel Committee recognized Machado for her tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela and for her struggle to achieve a just and peaceful transition from dictatorship to democracy, calling her an extraordinary example of civilian courage. She has been a key figure in unifying Venezuela's opposition and has continued her advocacy despite facing political bans. The announcement came amidst discussions surrounding former U.S. President Donald Trump, who had publicly sought the honor. Days prior, Trump's administration reportedly brokered a Gaza peace deal. Committee Chair Jorgen Watney Fridnes stated the selection adhered strictly to Alfred Nobel's will, emphasizing that the committee's decision was not influenced by external campaigns. Machado dedicated her prize to the people of Venezuela and acknowledged President Trump's decisive support for their cause.
If Trump receives the Nobel Peace Prize, that prize and the association have lost all value and credibility.
8 wars settled and returning democracy to America are publicity stunts?
It's worthless award that even Obama got it.
So hilarious that Trump, the so-called leader of America, begging for Nobel Peace Prize. Finally, people see that the world has mature and intelligent people who don't give in to the threats. Congratulations, Nobel Comedy. How can one be rewarded with an honor of the things he engineered? The war is engineered and fueled by America.
So happy, Trump is only eligible for being complicit in a genocide.
Venezuelan opposition leader María Corina Machado wins Nobel Peace Prize. Venezuelan opposition leader María Corina Machado receives the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize for her advocacy for democracy and efforts to end dictatorship in her country, the Norwegian Nobel Committee announced October 10, 2025. The committee recognized Machado as a brave civilian figure who remained in Venezuela despite threats. Machado, who was barred from running in the 2024 presidential election, expressed gratitude and dedicated the award to the Venezuelan people. The prize, which includes a gold medal and 11 million Swedish kroner, over $1 million US dollars, will be presented in Oslo on December 10. Former U.S. President Donald Trump commented that Machado told him he deserved the prize, while the White House assessed the committee's decision placed politics above peace. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva and his government were reportedly displeased by the award, having previously criticized Machado. São Paulo Governor Tarcísio de Freitas, however, praised the recognition, stating it delegitimizes the Maduro regime. The Maduro government offered no immediate official reaction, though Venezuela's ambassador to the United Nations dismissed Machado's suitability for the prize.
Corina Machado thanks for loving Venezuela.
Congratulations to Corina, well deserved. Congratulations Corina Machado. Congratulations María Corina Machado deserves it.
Congratulations, María Corina, you deserve this award.
I didn't see any criticism, I thought she was very polite and intelligent.
Brazil Congress rejects revenue measure. Finance minister faces pressure. Brazil's Congress recently rejected a provisional measure aimed at increasing government revenue, placing Finance Minister Fernando Haddad under pressure to meet fiscal targets. Provisional Measure 1303/2025 sought to tax electronic betting sites and certain financial products. Its failure is projected to result in an estimated 35 billion Brazilian reals revenue loss for 2026, impacting the government's surplus target. Federal Deputy Sóstenes Cavalcante publicly thanked São Paulo Governor Tarcísio de Freitas for his role in mobilizing opposition, despite Freitas's public denial of involvement. The rejection underscores political tensions ahead of the 2026 presidential election. Right-wing leaders are discussing potential candidates, with Governor Freitas among those mentioned, as former President Jair Bolsonaro is expected to decide the nominee. Haddad's ministry now faces the challenge of identifying alternative revenue streams, potentially through presidential decrees.
As always, this Congress, the enemy of the Brazilian people, favors the billionaires who sponsor these money-loving politicians.
We no longer have groups of MPs in Congress, but factions that act unscrupulously to defend their masters, agribusiness, lobbyists, miners, etc. And all this has a name and surname. People, let's vote against this Tarcísio, the enemy of the people.
In favor of fintechs, bookmakers and the rest. Taxing producers, allowing pernicious beings. They pretend to be on the side of the people, but they fight for their powerful minions. These insensitive bastards don't give a damn about society.
Rat hand, that's the correct classification.
U.S. troops deployed to Middle East to monitor ceasefire. At least 200 U.S. troops are deploying to the Middle East to monitor a ceasefire between Hamas and Israel, arriving in Israel as part of a multi-phase peace plan initiated by President Donald Trump's administration in October 2025. The U.S. personnel are establishing a civil-military coordination center, facilitating humanitarian aid, and supporting a transition to a civilian government in Gaza. President Trump provided a personal guarantee, reaffirmed by U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, that Israel will not violate the agreement. The initial stage of the ceasefire requires Israel to withdraw all military forces and Hamas to release Israeli hostages. Officials indicated the deployment aims to address significant distrust between the two sides and enforce the agreement. The monitoring effort, commanded by U.S. Central Command, is designed to be multinational, with Egyptian, Qatari, and Turkish military officials embedded. While the agreement includes Israel's withdrawal and Hamas's pledge to release hostages, the disarmament of Hamas remains a key point of contention for future phases of the peace plan.
Beware of the U.S.
U.S. reloads weapons to Israel under the pretext of bringing troops while bringing weapons to Israel.
Stay alert for the Palestinian fighters. May Allah grant complete safety to the people of Gaza.
UN security forces should be deployed, not U.S. troops. What's going on?
Should be soldiers from a neutral country, not from the U.S. that supports Israel. The American charade begins again. Instead of sending troops, there are hidden intentions. It's unbelievable that Donald Trump screwed up. Alhamdulillah, praise be to God. May Allah always bestow mercy upon the Palestinian people.
You know how cunning the US and Israel are. Hopefully this isn't a trap to weaken Hamas.
Spies are pretending to be peacekeeping forces. Information about Hamas's weaknesses and the Palestinian fighters will be passed to their ally, Israel.
Be careful.
UNAM rector congratulates Nobel laureate, draws criticism. The rector of the National Autonomous University of Mexico, UNAM, Leonardo Lomelí Venegas, congratulated Venezuelan activist María Corina Machado for receiving the Nobel Peace Prize 2025, drawing criticism over the use of the university's official platform. Machado was awarded the prize on October 10, 2025, for her unwavering commitment to democratic rights and efforts toward a peaceful transition in Venezuela. Critics argue Lomelí Venegas used UNAM's institutional voice to express a personal political position, rather than representing the university's diverse community. Observers contend that while the rector is entitled to his own views, employing UNAM's official channels for such a pronouncement is inappropriate and does not reflect the institution's pluralistic nature. The debate raises questions about whether such actions align with UNAM's role as a space for diverse thought and dialogue, highlighting ongoing tension between a university leader's personal views and the expectation of institutional impartiality.
I am a free thinker, and the truth is that it makes me a mockery that this lady deserves the award. I mean, there are those WHO truly deserve it.
The rector must be changed.
What can one expect from the rector Bombita, who criminalizes and expels student activists who dared to criticize him?
Shame on those who run UNAM.
That his expressions are in his personal capacity and not in the name of UNAM shows his stupidity.
He is more concerned with congratulating nefarious people instead of doing what is necessary to solve the problems of insecurity at UNAM. Not all of us are with this nefarious guy.
Corina Machado is the gringo's housekeeper. The rector was sent a few dollars by the gringos.
We, the university students of UNAM, are not the rector's office, nor does the rector's opinion represent us.
What a pity for those of us who studied there. That is not the feeling of the rest of us that we are not included.
Venezuelan opposition leader María Corina Machado wins Nobel Peace Prize. Venezuelan opposition leader María Corina Machado was awarded the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize by the Norwegian Nobel Committee for her sustained efforts to promote democracy and free elections in her nation. The committee recognized Machado, often called Venezuela's Iron Lady, for her tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela and for her struggle to achieve a just and peaceful transition from dictatorship to democracy. She has advocated for fundamental democratic principles for over 2 decades, including co-founding the organization Qatari to champion free and fair elections, despite being barred from running in the 2024 presidential election. Machado dedicated the prize to the suffering people of Venezuela and acknowledged U.S. President Donald Trump for his decisive support. Trump had publicly expressed a desire for the honor. Following the announcement, Stephen Chung, White House Director of Communications, posted on social media that the Nobel Committee prioritizes politics over peace.
I like the irony of the Venezuela part. I keep thinking the Nobel Peace Prize isn't worth it, although of course peace is worth it.
Trump, this award is wrong. This is definitely the year I will receive the award. I will reselect the selection committee and have them deliberate again.
Trump is going to be angry.
Trump, we're going to put tariffs on the Nobel Prize. To be honest, the Nobel Peace Prize has become a prize that is awarded only to those who have responded conspicuously to a major problem, even though there are many people who have worked for peace on a regular basis.
People who expect too much to win awards equals an attitude of not being willing to do things for, if I do this much, they will give it to me. This is evident in the Peace Prize and the Prize for Literature. You don't get a Nobel Prize by threatening to give it to you, especially if it's a peace prize.
I wish they would stop awarding the Nobel Peace Prize to politicians, because politicians are the ones who should be working for peace in the first place.
Trump, they stole the Nobel Peace Prize.
Japan's Kōmeitō party exits coalition with LDP over funds scandal. Japan's Kōmeitō party withdrew from its 26-year coalition government with the Liberal Democratic Party, LDP, on October 10, citing the LDP's inadequate response to demands for stricter political funding regulations and an investigation into undisclosed funds. Kōmeitō leader Saito informed LDP President Sanae Takaichi of the decision, which followed a significant political funds scandal involving LDP factions failing to report millions of yen in fundraising income. The scandal, which became public in late 2023, led to widespread public distrust and contributed to the resignation of then Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. The dissolution of the alliance means the LDP now lacks a majority in both houses of the Diet, complicating parliamentary operations and legislation. Kōmeitō stated it will cease future election cooperation and will not endorse LDP President Takaichi for Prime Minister, making her path to the top office uncertain. LDP President Takaichi expressed regret, noting the LDP had sought further discussion on Kōmeitō's proposed revisions to the political funds control law.
I know the media is going to support this, and it makes me want to vomit.
Riken is seriously harmful to Japan. Political harm.
I'm glad we took off. A historic achievement.
First of all, it's bad enough that the Constitution has 148 seats. If the National Democratic Party gets on the Riken here, it's over.
I'm going to report on you to lower your approval rating. I'm going to report on them to lower their approval ratings.
I'm really thinking that an end to 26 years of autocratic coalition was really the lost 30 years of the autocratic coalition.
Israel, Hamas agreed to ceasefire, hostage prisoner exchange. Israel and Hamas agreed Friday to a U.S.-brokered ceasefire and the initial phase of a peace plan, which includes the exchange of hostages and prisoners in the coming days. The agreement stipulates Hamas will release 48 hostages, including 20 believed to be alive, from Gaza. In return, Israel will release nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. The ceasefire is expected to take effect within 24 hours of Israel's approval, with U.S. President Donald Trump indicating hostage releases could occur Monday or Tuesday. This initial step follows 2 years of intense conflict, triggered by Hamas's October 7, 2023, attack, and aims to facilitate humanitarian aid and reconstruction in Gaza. The plan, described by some analysts as maximally fragile, faces significant challenges regarding Gaza's future governance and the disarmament of Hamas. International monitors from the US, Egypt, Qatar, the Emirates, and Turkey are expected to oversee the truce. While celebrations erupted in Israel, reactions in Gaza were marked by muted relief and skepticism.
It is time to bring Netanyahu and all those who supplied him with weapons before the International Criminal Court. Nobel Prize for Trump? The guy has created civil war-like conditions in his own country. Never. Then the hatred towards foreigners. If he gets the prize, he won't be worth anything.
The lady has not yet realized what is going on. Hamas is a terrorist organization and will always remain one. It must be disarmed and disbanded, nothing more and nothing less. What is she blathering on about downgrading and further political action? That will certainly not happen.
Nobel Prize for Trump after the whole Gaza Strip was completely bombed. Exactly my humor. I find the discussion completely pointless. There will never be peace there. They are selling time now, and in 3 years Hamas will attack again. As long as Hamas exists, that means war.
God bless Israel.
A dictator like Trump should never be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize.
The fact that Trump is claiming the Nobel Peace Prize for himself, and the way he is doing it, is the greatest possible disrespect for the prize and the founder.
I already found the Nobel Prize for Obama strange, but Trump? Who only manages to be nominated with a war criminal and another dictator? Ridiculous. And once again, people are stepping down. Work should be worthwhile again. Citizens' income should be increased and ancillary costs should be fully reimbursed for recipients of unemployment benefits so that these citizens can also live in dignity.
Trump to host Gaza post-war summit in Egypt next week. U.S. President Donald Trump will host a global summit in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, next week to discuss post-war arrangements for the Gaza Strip following a recently brokered ceasefire. The summit aims to gather Arab and Western leaders to address reconstruction, regional security, and the implementation of a U.S.-led peace plan. Trump is scheduled to visit Israel before heading to Egypt for a signing ceremony. Egypt has extended invitations to several nations, though Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is not expected to attend. A U.S.-led international stability force, comprising American, Arab, and Turkish personnel, is planned to monitor the ceasefire and aid entry around Gaza, without deploying forces inside the Strip. This force would also establish a civil-military coordination center to oversee Hamas disarmament, a point Hamas has indicated it will refuse. The summit's agenda is open, with discussions potentially extending to a broader political settlement plan.
The issue is not Egypt's leadership. Egypt does not need leadership. Egypt makes leadership. Long live Egypt's leadership, army and people. Oh God, unite the hearts of the Arabs on the word of one man.
Egypt is above everyone, including Trump and others.
It's not Trump who brings people together, it's Egypt who brings people together and on Egyptian soil.
Saudi Arabia and Egypt are one hand.
Peace on the land of peace. Arab Republic of Egypt. President Sisi invited world leaders, not Donald Trump.
President Sisi gathers world leaders in Egypt and invites President Trump to attend the summit.
Egypt is big. The whole world comes to us on its own terms without paying a dime.
Displaced Palestinians head north in Gaza amid ceasefire. Displaced Palestinians are returning to Gaza City around October 10, 2025, via Al-Rashid Street and Salah al-Din Road, following a ceasefire and partial Israeli military withdrawal to agreed-upon lines. Thousands are moving northward, often on foot, to devastated areas previously inaccessible, as Israeli tanks and warships reportedly retreated or ceased fire. Israeli forces maintain positions in parts of the Strip and have issued warnings against approaching certain zones. A senior Hamas official, Khalil al-Hayya, announced an agreement for a permanent ceasefire, withdrawal of occupation forces, and a prisoner exchange. This initial phase of a broader peace plan, brokered by the US, Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey, includes Hamas releasing 20 living Israeli hostages and the remains of 28 deceased hostages within 72 hours. In return, Israel is expected to release approximately 2,000 Palestinian prisoners, including 250 serving life sentences and 1,700 detained since October 7, 2023, encompassing all women and children. The Rafah crossing is anticipated to reopen on October 14, 2025. However, key issues, such as the full disarmament of Hamas, remain unresolved.
We do not forget dear Yemen, which did not leave us until the end. O God, protect Yemen and its people.
We ask our people in Gaza to beware of the treachery of the Zionists, for they cannot be trusted. Be wary of the return of the Zionist aggression on your land. Greetings to you from the land of Algeria.
I remembered Lance Sharif was waiting for this moment with bated breath. God rest his soul.
As for the Arabs, history failed them before they failed Palestine, and Gaza stood alone to teach us the meaning of dignity when everyone is silent. I have been eagerly awaiting this statement in Abu Ubaida's voice.
We salute and honor this brave hero. May God protect you, Sheikh of the Palestinian resistance. The same introduction of Abu Ubaida, may Allah have mercy on him, whether he was alive or a martyr.
Where are you, Abu Ubaida, to broadcast the news of victory?
The blessed Gaza has become the beloved of the entire world and exposed everything. And I ask God to give it victory in this world and the next.
Venezuelan opposition leader María Corina Machado wins 2025 Nobel Peace Prize. Venezuelan opposition leader María Corina Machado received the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize Friday in Oslo, Norway, for her work promoting democratic rights and a peaceful transition in her country. The Norwegian Nobel Committee cited Machado's commitment to ballots over bullets and her steadfast support for a peaceful transition, aligning with Alfred Nobel's will that democracy is a precondition for lasting peace. She founded Qāmeitō, an organization dedicated to democratic development, and has championed democracy for over 2 decades. Machado will receive a gold medal and 11 million Swedish krona, approximately $1.2 million, at a ceremony in Oslo in December. Machado's recognition comes amid her ongoing political disqualification in Venezuela. Despite winning the opposition's 2023 presidential primary, the Venezuelan Supreme Court upheld a 15-year ban in January 2024, preventing her from holding public office. This ruling, widely criticized internationally, effectively blocked her from running in the 2024 presidential elections and highlights challenges to a peaceful transition.
If war criminal NYTANYAHU nominates Trump for Nobel Peace Prize, then it is insult of peace and prize. Trump is war criminal and crime partner of Israel in committing genocide in Gaza. It will be insult of peace and prize.
Francesca Albanese was the people's choice. The Zionists would have been enraged.
I guess she's gonna be the new puppet president after Trump invades Venezuela.
War criminal does not deserve the Nobel Peace Prize award. I don't think Nobel Committee is so stupid.
The Nobel Peace Prize Committee has abandoned children, women and men in Gaza. It has forgotten the genocide and ethnic cleansing in Palestine. Nobel Peace Prize for Francesca, medics and journalists in Gaza.
They should just give the prize directly to the CIA.
This is being used to assist an American CIA-backed coup of Venezuela. Disgusting politics.
Ironical, the man who provided relentless rounds of bombs, directly contributed Israeli genocide, is being considered as a candidate for Nobel Peace Prize for stopping it. Nobel Prize is already a toolkit for Western hegemony.
U.S.-backed ceasefire between Israel, Hamas begins in Gaza. A U.S.-backed ceasefire between Israel and Hamas began October 10, 2025, in Gaza, initiating a gradual Israeli troop withdrawal and a prisoner exchange. Qatar will lead reconstruction and humanitarian support efforts in the territory, a role accepted by both the United States and Israel. The agreement, mediated by the United States, Qatar, Egypt and Turkey, stipulates the release of at least 20 Israeli captives, including women and children, in exchange for 250 life-sentenced Palestinian detainees and 1,700 others arrested since October 7, 2023. Hamas's chief negotiator, Khalil al-Hayya, stated the deal includes a permanent ceasefire, full Israeli troop withdrawal and the opening of Gaza's crossings for aid. The United States plans to deploy a 200-troop monitoring team to Israel to support the ceasefire and facilitate humanitarian aid, though no American troops will enter Gaza. Challenges remain regarding Hamas's disarmament and Gaza's long-term governance.
God bless this people in the front line fighting the most evil ideology in today's world.
The USA and Israel should pay up. They must be held accountable.
Don't trust. Thank God for some peace. Thank God for the mediators. Peace to the children.
Israel has never honored a ceasefire. Israel will break the ceasefire sooner or later, and Hamas will be blamed for it.
Netanyahu doesn't want peace, he wants land.
Why doesn't America, Israel and all Western countries pay for the rebuilding? After all, weren't they the ones who actually turned a blind eye to this? A minute of living with dignity and pride is better than 1,000 years of a miserable life under the boots of the occupation. Yahya Sinwar.